and get your hair cut way up high. Get yourself a lawyer, son. You're gonna need a real good one.
Don't argue with Tex Perkins. He knows of what he sings. And if he says you need a good lawyer, we got one for you. David Whiting joining you, Melbourne solicitor, to answer your calls and to deal with your problems. I've got lines free. You know that never happens. What? Are there no legal problems in Melbourne? Excellent, good. David Whiting, you've got the morning off.
Okay.
Off you go. Why don't you and I go and have breakfast?
Bit late for breakfast?
Oh, no, never too late for breakfast.
Okay, but you've got a guest at 10:30.
What we could do,
quickly.
We could pop out. We could have a chat with Kurt Elling, who's about to join me here, which will be a great conversation. Don't miss that. So you and I, we just catch up, shoot the breeze with Kurt, and then I come back in and interview him here. You get the morning off.
You have to eat very quickly. Yes.
All right, I've got 3 lines free. 1300 222 774. I know you have problems, and I know David can sort them. So let's get to them. Homework?
None.
News?
No.
I've got legal news.
Yes.
My son's going as Atticus Finch
Oh,
for
fantastic.
Book Week.
Has he read the book?
Yes. And I had to call a friend who's a barrister and say, can I have an old legal brief tied up in pink string, please?
Yes.
And I think she's going to remake it, so it's the state of Alabama v. It's Tom Robinson, wasn't it, that Atticus acted for,
so.
I think?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh,
That's
that'd be
good,
wonderful.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So if you need pink ribbon, let me know. There's
thank
lots
you.
of it. Yes.
I could have asked you for the pink ribbon.
We don't use it very much anymore because everything is now electronic.
It's digital. Yeah, well, that won't work.
Yeah,
you can't go in holding a silicon chip, can
But
you?
we had a court case. We were listed last week. I think we had 13 arch folders.
Oh, God.
See, fast printers and photocopying has just meant that the paperwork has gone
More
boom.
paper, exactly.
Well, except we generally don't print.
What do you do?
It's everybody is electronic.
Yeah, right.
So
Much better.
a bookkeeper came along and said, we did 10,000 photocopies last month. Why did we do so many photocopies?
Good question.
Yes.
Let's get to your questions. Dean in the city. Hello, Dean. How can we help? Good morning.
Hi. Look, just wanting to get an idea of the right process. My elderly father and his little dog were out walking last week and they were attacked by a dangerous dog. It sort of latched onto the little thing and tried to tear it to pieces.
Oh.
And then it got stuck into my father.
Because he was trying to protect his dog.
That's it.
Yep.
And the person who owns the dog couldn't control it. It just took off. It was too strong for them.
Yes.
And they're both out of hospital and vet now and recovering.
Yes.
But the animal probably has a shorter memory than the human. The whole point of the dog walking exercise was to deal with some sort of mental health and other health issues.
What's your question here, Dean?
Dean,
what do we do about cost for the vet? It's thousands of dollars, and
you have an
other
action.
options do we
You
have?
have an action against the owner for the damage caused by the dog to you, and to your dad, and to the dog. And you can also report it to council, and council may seek to have the dog impounded.
Oh, the dog's gone.
What do you
the
mean
dog's
gone?
already finished.
What do you mean finished?
They've destroyed it.
Okay.
It's been destroyed.
Then you have an action for damages against the person who was controlling the dog at the time.
Okay, I'm a regular listener, David. How do you quantify damages?
It will be your dad hasn't lost any income, presumably not. Then it will really be, unless you can prove some long-term significant psychological damage, it's likely to be just your out-of-pocket expenses. And at that stage, you can get caught, right? Because you're then required to tell Medicare that it is, in fact, a compensation claim, and you might be required to pay the whole of your medical expenses. Right. So let's say that your dad's out of pocket. There's $5,000 worth of medical expenses, and he's out of pocket for $2,000. When you settle your case with the insurer for the other side, you need to pay back Medicare.
Right.
So the net benefit might be quite minor.
Okay, so you're saying it's only really worth going after the vet costs?
No, I don't know the extent of your dad's injuries. I don't know what the cost is, and I don't know if he's got any long-term psychological damage.
How do you start the process? David, what is it? What does Dean do first of all?
Well, I'd probably send a demand to here's my medical expenses.
Mm-hmm.
Dad's, I would wait till they settled a little bit to see if there is a longer-term problem.
Yep.
Presumably the vet bills will cover the dog issue.
Okay, so you basically want your costs covered.
Yes.
And rather than going for damages.
Damages requires there to be a threshold requirement of 5 or 10% of total capacity.
Right.
It can be psychological, but the issue will be you need to wait till the issues settle rather than
in order to know what it is.
5 minutes later.
Fair enough. Alfred has called in from Oakley.
Yeah.
Hi, Alfred. What's going on?
Good. No, I just wanted to know. I wanted to ask David. 2021, I gave my car for repairs,
Yes.
and the mechanic gave me a courtesy car.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
I met with an accident, and he said it was insured. Then 1 hour later, he calls me back and says, "I'm sorry, the insurance was lapsed." And he said, "Okay, I'll foot the bill." Now he's wanting to claim from me the bill that he has paid. What is my responsibility?
I think the biggest problem is that you've taken the hire car or the loan
Courtesy car, yeah.
Without actually working out what the deal was. So if we have the same deal with our mechanic, get a courtesy car, we make it clear that it's fully insured by the people who provide the courtesy car.
I think you just make that assumption.
You make the assumption.
You make the assumption. It's not an unreasonable assumption. Hang on, Alfred.
No, it's not an unreasonable assumption, but it's your fault. Well, sorry, it's not their fault. So my view would be make it clear that the vehicle's insured.
So what does Alfred do now?
My view would be bad luck. I don't think the repairer is going to chase you, but your issue would be if he's made a claim on the insurance, that should be the end of it. So I'd be saying no,
But it was
Alfred.
not insured. The insurance had lapsed.
Then, yes, but he now wants the excess from Alfred. Is that
No,
right,
I'll give
Alfred?
the excess. I'll give the excess. I don't mind. I'll give the excess. But he wants me to pay for the damages, which I said, no, I'm not responsible for that.
No. My argument, Alfred, would be it's reasonable for you to assume that the vehicle was insured.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Start there.
So paid the excess and he'll have to sort that. Is he hanging on to your car or is he giving your car back, Alfred?
No, he's given my car. Everything is all sorted out. Everything is all sorted out.
2021.
And no.
Yep.
Yeah, in 2021 it happened.
Yes.
And now he's telling me that he needs the damages that he paid, some 13 or 14,000 or something he paid to the insurer.
Well, that's his failure to take out the insurance that he told you that he thought he had.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. Good luck. Hope that helps. John in Lara. Go ahead, John.
Good morning. About 3 years ago, I made a new will leaving all my assets to my adult children.
Yes.
And my partner did the same. Last year we married.
Yes.
Does that marriage make our wills invalid?
Except, well, there's two answers to the question. If the will is expressed to be in contemplation of your marriage, it may not. Or to the extent that you provided for your now wife in that will, it continues to be valid. My view would be if you make a will and then get married 3 years later, unless you're leaving everything to that person, go off and make a new will. Because your will, to the extent that it didn't provide for her, it's now lapsed. So your partner will get everything.
Even though neither of us want to change anything in our wills, we should go out and get a new will.
The Wills Act says that your will is revoked by marriage, except in very limited circumstances. Go and make a new will. It can be just the same. You could print it again with different dates.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Good luck, John. I think it's pretty clear advice there. David in Pascoe Vale. David, how can we help? Good morning.
Good morning. I work for a company and they've been taking...
David, I'm sorry. You're going to have to be really crisp because your line is terrible. If you can say it quickly, we'll deal with it. Go.
Okay, I hope that's better.
Much, yeah.
They've been taking money out of my wages to take my car home, what's called a home route agreement.
Yes.
And then I told them that they weren't allowed to, and they've given me some money back, but they only took it back till 2021. And I'm wondering, do they have to go back 6 years?
You can make them go back 6 years.
And how do I do that?
You make the demand, and you could, if you wanted to, sue them for it, or you could make a claim to the Fair Work Ombudsman on the basis that there are unauthorised deductions from your pay.
I phoned them and they said the onus is on me to make the approach. Is that right?
Yes.
All right.
My view is they've paid you what they think they owe you, or what's a reasonable sum. If you think it's not reasonable, you have to go back.
All right then. And so I am entitled to get 6 years' worth back home.
Well, you've already got some, so you can't get that again.
No, but I can. Yeah,
you can go up to 6 years.
Well, I want to go back to 2017.
You can go up to 6 years.
6 years. Thank you very much.
Thanks, David.
Okay, good luck. Hope that's helpful. Josephine in the Yarra Valley. What's happening there, Josephine?
Hi, David. Thanks for taking my call. We are surrounded by hilly slopes here in the Yarra Valley.
Indeed.
And yes, and water is inundating our property from 2 neighbouring tracts of land. We're trying to figure out how we get the people who own the land to take responsibility for it. And
well,
to try to
Josephine, the issue is what's the natural flow of the water? All right,
straight down.
I understand how it's flowing. The issue is really the extent to which people interfere with the flow of water. All right?
Okay.
So let's say I'm not next door to you, but I'm one further up the hill, and I concrete the whole of my property, which forces the flow across the neighbour and down to your property. That's not your neighbour's fault. That's my fault in that example.
Yep.
So it's people who interfere with the natural flow of water are responsible for the consequences. Or if someone was to put in a drainage line or a channel that caused everything to go into your property, that's their issue. So you really need to work out what the source of the water is, not just that it comes from next door.
And how do you do that? Who do you hire to figure that out?
I would want a surveyor to tell me what the flow, what the slopes were.
Yep.
I'd probably then be looking to see on Google Earth to see if there were earthworks that were shown as having occurred. The issue from Josephine's point of view, got to prove the change. If
Right.
it's always flowed, it can continue to flow.
Right. And do you think it's changed recently, Josephine?
I think that there was drainage there to stop this happening, but it's been allowed to fill in over time. And
Well, your argument would then be that the failure to maintain. You also might look and see whether there are planning permits on the properties upstream from you to see if there are any drainage requirements that exist in the planning permits that are not being complied with.
Okay, so look at the planning permits, read drainage.
Yes, so the planning permits for people who are upstream, look and see what they say. Are there drainage requirements? Sometimes people don't put in the drains they promise council they will.
Yeah, right. That's a good thing to look at. Good luck. Hope that's a helpful start, Josephine. It sounds like it's going to be a bit of work, though, David.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, dear. Sorry about that. Who else we got here? Cameron in Reservoir. Go ahead, Cameron. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, David and Virginia. The root system of the pine trees from the property next door has damaged our shared wooden fence as well as my side concrete path and a section of my front fence. I've tried for several years to get the owner of the property to address the problem, and they're just not interested. So I'm just wondering what course of action I can take now.
Well, how big are the trees?
They were very big. They were probably 15 meters high. There was 3 of them. They've been cut down. She's actually cut them down to stumps, but
the roots are still there. Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
Cameron, you have an action for damages that you would run in the magistrates' court, and an action to restrain a continuing nuisance, and you would have a fence issue all rolled into one.
Oh, great.
All right.
Is that good or bad?
Well, you might. You'd really need to have a look at it, Virginia. The issue is that you might be able to say this is a fence issue, but there are incidental works that needed to be dealt with at the same time about removing the tree roots in the way of the fence line, Cameron.
Yes. Okay.
So it's a magistrates' court matter, either an action for damages or an action under the Fences Act, or both.
Okay. All right. I'll go ahead with that. Thank you very much.
All right. Sounds good. Mary Louise in Glen Waverley. Hi, Mary Louise. What's happening there?
Okay. Our strata unit, most of the car spaces are a continuing assignment with a licence agreement with the OC. And some of the owners have discovered that when they bought their property, the car licence agreements weren't completed. So I'm wondering, does that mean that the property reverts to common property? And if it turns out to be a widespread issue in our owners' corporation, can the committee just cancel and reissue all the licences in a standard sort of way, or does that need to go to a special resolution?
Okay. Virginia, on older blocks of units,
Yes.
the car parks, on new units, there's a separate title issued for the car park, or the car park is on a title with the residential unit. On older plans of subdivision, they were separate titles. On much older subdivisions, say 60 years old, there were no car parking spaces on the plan, and that was called residual land, and the residual land was all of the land around the building. And so what happened was the owners' corporations or the service company entered into leases for car parks. But most of them required that the lease be actually assigned to the new. So if you bought Unit 6, the car parking space needed to be assigned to you. And in Mary Louise is saying, in her situation, they weren't.
Yep.
If you want to, you might be able to go back and find out who had the last registered car park licence and short-circuited. Or you would have a special resolution to cancel and re-grant the licences.
Could they just do that as an owners' corporation?
Beg your pardon?
Who would pay for the cost of doing the special resolution?
Mary Louise, do you want the car park?
Oh, we've sorted ours out. We did, as you suggested, we went back and found the
right person.
Owner.
It would normally, I suppose it's really, would it be better to be done? Yes, it would to me be it seems to me to be grossly unfair to say we're going to hold a special resolution for Unit 1, but because Unit 4 won't kick in, I'm not going to do it. I would suggest that it's a fairly straightforward process, and I'd be suggesting to be borne by the owners' corporation.
The committee members are saying, well, I don't have that problem, so I don't think we should have to pay for
this. Well, then the owners' corporation elects to do nothing unless someone comes along and has a general meeting for the purpose of considering it.
Okay.
Or people get on the committee and agitate some more.
Yes.
All right. Leave it with you, Mary Louise. Thanks so much for calling in. AJ in Mentone. Hi, AJ. What's going on?
Oh, hi, Virginia. Hi, David. No, I've just got a question. My son is a permanent employee for a retail chain, and they're trying to move him from one location to another location, which is about 30 kilometres away, and actually would make it about 50 kilometres away from where he lives.
Yes.
Can he do anything?
I take it that the employment contract he has allows them to move them?
Right. So the first step is check the employment contract.
Yeah, and I'm suggesting that there will inevitably a clause that says I can require you to move somewhere else.
My contract says that. It says we may require you to work anywhere, anytime.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, great.
Right.
So I'll come in one day and they've assigned me to Darwin.
Next week.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yep.
Okay. So first of all, he should check his
employment contract, see what that is, and then work out whether it's unreasonable. And I'll do some work over the next week, and come back and say whether shifting in those circumstances is a reasonable outcome.
Okay.
Right?
Listen next week.
So how long
AJ?
has he been there working, AJ?
Well, let's just say I think he was there.
I'm sorry if I'm putting a hard question to you.
That was fascinating, AJ, but I didn't get an answer.
No, but he's definitely been there post-COVID. But I'm pretty sure he was there pre-COVID, and then, of course, with the COVID problem...
so we're looking at sort of 4 years. Okay, thanks, AJ.
It was like a cartoon answer. It was great, actually. I'm pretty sure I've heard Bugs Bunny give that answer before. That was great. Stuart in Mitcham. Hi, Stuart. Go ahead.
Oh, hi. My partner, good morning. My partner lives in the western suburbs of Melbourne, and the neighbour...
Whatever you're shuffling there, Stuart, stop shuffling it. It's noisy. Keep talking.
Oh, it's just the phone cable, I think.
And the cellophane. Yep. Yeah. Yes.
No, it's I've got a landline. The neighbour has applied for a building permit, which includes building along the boundary line, but we've discovered that the two title plans have a certain amount of overlap for half their length. Now, these would be
I'm lost. Title plans are unlikely to have... I once had dealt with a property in Riversdale Road in Hawthorn where one property had been measured from Power Street and the other property had been measured from Glenferrie Road, and there was a gap. So who owned the gap was a question. So, Stuart, There won't be an overlap in the title plans, very unlikely. What
Well,
you're really looking to see whether or not the building's in the right place, aren't you?
No. The two title plans, which have been checked by surveyors,
Yes.
show that half of the length is, it's common. There's a strip between the middle and the back that's overlaps by about 15 centimetres.
So it's on both title plans, is it?
It's on both title plans,
So,
yes.
and does your surveyor suggest you ask the Registrar of Titles to fix the problem?
They didn't make any suggestions at all. There's two things. We don't quite know where the planning permit has part of the building along the common
boundary.
wall.
Yes.
And the other thing is, how do we resolve where the fence for the remaining part goes?
Stuart, my starting point would be, how do you want to resolve it?
Easily.
Great.
That's a really good answer.
Then it is technically possible, Stuart, for the two of you to agree on a new title boundary and then have that approved by council, be registered by the Registrar of Titles, and then you'll be set for a good number of years to come.
So we agree it goes to council and then go to the...
You make an application for a planning permit to subdivide the land. It's a re-subdivision. The purpose of the re-subdivision is to say there are some issues with the titles. We want you to fix the line.
Okay, then it goes to the Registrar of Titles.
Yes.
How much does all of this cost?
What's your property? What's the property worth, Stuart? I mean, you come along and say, if the deal costs you between $5,000 and $10,000, and we're talking about, what, $1 million worth of real estate in total?
I guess it is, yes.
Yes,
They're only small blocks, but they're...
Yeah, I understand, but, it's a question of relativity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
All right.
There you go. Good on you. Hope that helps. I think we may have to leave it there. I was hoping to fit in one more because they all came in late. Sorry we couldn't get to all the calls. Next week, come in a little bit earlier, and I promise we'll try and get to you. Dave, you've got a bit of homework.
Indeed.
And go out and say hello to Kurt Elling. He's joining us shortly.
Thank you.
Thank you. David Whiting there. He's helping you again next week.